Brian Fox.
Hello, Chris Russell.
All right. Brian W's here. He's from Brian Fox.
Chicago.
Your job board is?
Job board is Trusted Herd.
Oh, Trusted Herd. Okay. We've talked before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Best conversation I've had.
Excellent.
Honestly.
When was that?
Like so much, Chris.
Last year or?
Last year, yeah. We'll probably, whole team's kind of been talking, probably meet up again shortly. So, yeah.
We have London, Chicago. Kasia, where are you?
I'm in Michigan. You're Detroit.
Okay. Gail, you're overseeing Europe. Man's in Amsterdam. Lovell is joining. Yes, I drank White Claws. Sorry. There's one left in the fridge, so I grabbed it.
Good for you.
Hey, Don Firth. Turn your mic on.
Hi.
There you go. How's it going, man?
Terrific. And yourself?
Long time no chat.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you down in Florida?
Yep.
All right. Paul Lovell's here. Hey, Paul.
Hey,
That's
how you
right.
doing?
Paul, where are you from? Which job board?
I've literally stumbled into the whole job board thing accidentally. So
We are,
I was helping out a client. I've been in the affiliate world for quite a while. Helping out a client with some rogue affiliates, we will say. So advised them on that, and then they put out a call saying they were looking for some people for new partners. And I said, look, I've got a developer, I can run up a job board quite easy enough. And yeah, just sort of stumbled into it and just navigating the minefield of job feeds and stuff like that. But yeah, got a job board, B jobs, quite new. So see how it goes.
And Don, what's new with you guys? Job and logistics, Top USA. What's going on down there? We lost you, Don. Don, you there? So Don's been in the space probably longer than I have, actually. I think he started jobs and logistics back in what, the late 90s? Can you hear that? Can you hear me, Don?
You're very faint, actually. So
Let me try that. Is this better?
that's better. Yeah.
Okay. So when did you start jobs and logistics?
We're 22 years ago.
22 years ago. Okay, it's 2000. Okay. Is that your oldest site?
Yeah, jobs in logistics is the oldest one, and then all retail jobs, then jobs in trucks, and then fleet jobs. And our latest one is home delivery jobs.
Ah, okay. So funny story. I just saw on Facebook, a recruiter friend of mine lives down in Texas, got a home delivery from a drone from a Walgreens.
Wow.
And in that package was ice cream. And he showed it as it dropped down a string, a rope, whatever, it dropped down his little box right into his backyard. And I said, okay, I think delivery recruiters everywhere just said, what's going to happen to my job?
Well, Amy and Sean are currently at the Home Delivery Jobs Conference.
Is there such a conference?
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah.
So how was the ice cream? Was it melted or was it?
I'm not sure. Yeah. You didn't show that part of it, but I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's here. It's like, it's happening.
It's wild.
I almost started the delivery job board once, but back in the day. But John, the trucking job, Don, the trucking job board, you were pretty, how long has that been around? Don, how long has your trucking job board been around?
So how long, so
The trucking job board, how long has that been?
probably about 16 years, 17 years.
Yeah. You had some foresight there to start that one.
Yeah, it's a major shortage of drivers, and
Yeah.
we're here to help.
Back in 05. So what's on everyone's minds? You guys have any stuff you want to talk about? There's some news going on in the industry. Snag-a-Job's laid off some people. There's talk of a recession, but I really haven't seen it yet on any kind of wide scale basis. Jobs are up still as far as just listings go, I think. But what's on your minds?
I think there's some good people out there from Snag-a-Job. I guess they laid off 80 people.
80?
And there's some very good people out there. So, you all may all want to kind of check that out.
I never, that company, I think, was kind of mismanaged a bit over the years. They never really, I mean, they had some good traction initially, and then they kind of like squandered it, in my opinion. They, they're
You know why they did it now, Chris?
What's that?
Do you know why they did it now? Like, what was the catalyst for?
I think
them?
the article said it talked about just the market conditions and uncertainty, that kind of stuff. Like ZipRecruiter did that back in March 2020 when the pandemic hit.
And I think Kathy said that she had the same thing.
And I think in Zip's case, it was just a chance to be profitable, and because they went public right after that, I think, or right around that time. Yeah, Snag-a-Job has kind of squandered its any kind of hold they had in the hourly space. Now you got like Job Case, and there's a whole bunch of other hourly platforms out now.
There was JobGet that raised kind of 50 million. I don't know if you saw that one. But that was, I don't know if that was linked, because obviously kind of both playing in the hourly space.
Yeah. Snag-a-Job, they changed their name to Snag at one point. They changed it back to Snag-a-Job. So I'm like, it's it's weird, but yeah.
My mom is always sending me articles and giving them to me in person because she watches our kids a couple days a week. And so actually, I think it was Monday this week, she brought over from AARP this.
Scoop on internet job boards. Oh.
Yeah, and for seniors, and top job sites, unique visitors to each site, April 2022 in millions, and Snag-a-Job's actually number 9, I think, here, out of 10, at 2 million unique visitors each in April 2022.
2 million, yeah, that's like ZipRecruiter has 30 million, something like that.
Yeah,
ZipRecruiter has like 100 million.
LinkedIn's the biggest. I mean, that was 81 million. Indeed, 64.2. Second, Glassdoor, 18.9. ZipRecruiter, 15.8. And then significant drop, like number 5 is usajobs.gov at 3.4.
That's like the federal website, I think.
Yeah, Monster, Simply Hired, Career Builder, Snag-a-Job, and Robert Half.
Yeah, I used Snag-a-Job once when I was a recruiter, like 7 or 8 years ago. Had some decent traffic. It's all about traffic with those big sites. I just put a link in the chat there to an article that Peter Askew had retweeted, and it's about is running a job board really worth it? It says. Let me see if I can read some quotes from it. She was quoting Peter Askew, who runs ranchwork.com. He's been on my show before, but she said, I was quite interested in it for a few reasons. First, job boards are boring. It's not a sexy, shiny startup idea. Second, building such a thing is not mad science. Third, it does not seem very time consuming. She goes into the revenues of job boards, talks about the pricing. That's what I want to get about is pricing as well. That's a question I have for the group. But check it out. It's an interesting article on kind of breaks down how it works, how much it costs to run, things like that.
Yeah, his thread is really long too. I mean, it's like 20 some tweets in a row.
Yep. Yeah, he's one of the more interesting guys to follow in the job board space, Peter. He's really good at domain stuff and monetizing a good domain like that.
Yeah.
I did a question recently about pricing a job board, and generally speaking, I talk to a new prospective job board owner. I say, look, whatever niche you're going into, like undercut your competition, number one, to get started, because you always raise them later on. I generally would raise rates, 10% every year as the job board goes on in its lifespan. But tell me how you guys price your listings, and just kind of break down your revenue models for us quickly, if you could. Maybe Kasia, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm still a relatively new job board. I started my company 4 years ago, but the job board's about 2 years old. Just this year, I increased my pricing to a 30-day package for $199 a month. And I keep hearing the job board doctor say that I have to keep increasing my pricing. So next year I'm going to work on that as well. But so far it's working out well. I used to have other packages, but they got like 3-month, 2-week. I experimented with a bunch of durations, but for me, in my niche industry, I'm focusing on 30-day, where the employers just post it themselves.
Yeah. I've often found that keeping it simple is the best way. You just have you have a single, have a 3-pack or a 10-pack, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Simple is the
especially
best
for a
way to
new
go.
job.
And technically too, with the job board functions, it just makes it so much easier.
Yep. Is your site home built, or is it on a software?
I use a WordPress theme.
The WordPress thing, okay. Do you find that it's hard to manage on an ongoing basis?
This is a question I was actually going to ask later too, but I love working on my job board. So I'm learning a lot. This was brand new to me when I started. And I'm finding that the theme I'm using, it's called Carriera by this gentleman in Greece, I believe. And it's really good, simple, easy to use. I have no issues. If I have questions, he replies almost immediately. So
That's good.
for even a beginner, I think it's a really good WordPress theme to have.
Good deal. Anybody else want to chime in on pricing or WordPress?
Well, I can. It's kind of been my, it's been like my world the last week. Trusted Herd is the largest live event job site in the US and Canada. We went from 2019, we had 3,200 jobs, 2020, we had 11,000. And now in the last 12 months, we've had 52,000, all posted by companies and brands direct. It is a custom-made site. So we have a team of 3 full-time developers and a principal engineer. And then we have an iOS and Android app. But typically these are like brand ambassador and event jobs, right? The people you see at bars handing out drink samples, or grocery store demos, convention centers, like literally everything under the live event sun. And it's the industry I came from. I've been in event marketing for 17 years. And so when we started it as a marketplace for jobs and reviews. So it allows gig workers to take their reputation and bring it with them to the next place that they go. Similar to like using a LinkedIn profile, but it's more valuable because they get these jobs more frequently. And it's been such a grind, and we were starting to get some traction, and then COVID hit, and live events like disappeared, and the site just came roaring back beyond what we were doing pre-COVID. But the thing is, we never charged for job posting, right? So free to post, and it would be sent out to all workers within 35 miles that day, or that night, I should say. And so we got some really good traction, and that's when we met with Chris, maybe almost about a year ago at this point. And Chris suggested, hey, you might want to plug in Google Ads for some ad dollars. And we did that, and it's been amazing. So it covered like server costs and all of that every month. And you know, like being a free marketplace, we offered premium memberships for companies that would give them more enhanced tools. One of those being you could search any address in the US or Canada and then a search radius, and all the workers would come up. You could instantly DM them. So it was good for like cherry picking staff or last second needs. But the untouchable piece was always like, how are we going to turn on more revenue for Trusted Herd? And so 7 days ago, we backed out the feature of sending jobs to workers within 35 miles. And that's only good now for premium companies or if you pay $7 per post. So we originally thought like, hey, let's just start charging for jobs across the board. But I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to stop our own growth, right? Just in the name of revenue, we're growing really well right now. And yeah, 7 days
Made,
in.
made an
we're
upsell there then, the $7 posting.
Absolutely. But, you know, like everything was organic. So 2 months ago, our growth, we have 56,000 members now amongst companies and workers. And everything was organically growing. And then about 2 months ago, I started using Craigslist postings every week to draw new people back to our job board to become a member of Trusted Herd. I tried Snag a Job last week. Actually, I think it did pretty well.
So Brian, explain that. How do you do that? Break that down for me.
So I just go into Craigslist.
Why do you do it
right?
too?
I go into Craigslist and type about how cool live event jobs are. And it is the most fun gig work out there. Like it is so much more fun than getting in your car and driving Uber for 10 hours a day or Instacart. And you can do cool events, awesome brands, good money. You pick your jobs. And so I just make like this little post. I mean, maybe it's a paragraph and a half. And at the end, it's very clear call to action, like average jobs are between 20 and 40 bucks an hour. Join on Trusted Herd. It is a big sign up. I know some signups are just like, you know, link your Facebook and then add in 3 fields and now you're in. Like for us, it's a lot bigger, but companies rely on that information. And so we actually saw really good success on Craigslist doing that. And so now it's like, what other online communities or marketplaces can we tap into to tell people about these jobs, right? And so we tried Snag a Job last week. I think it went well, but when they send it out, ultimately, like they were bringing people back to Snag a Job, right? Some people saw the link in there because I did a space because you're not allowed to do an actual link of your website. Sorry, Snag a Job.
I read it.
Maybe that's the 80 workers right there. But you know, like that's kind of how we're in just in the stage of how can we get more chicken and egg, right? Like companies are coming in, they're posting. How can we get more workers in there, more members, get them to spread the word? And yeah, it was a big step to go from free to $7. And now in the last week, we've generated $1,000 just from these $7 postings. So we've had 3 companies inquire about becoming premium, which right now is $3,600 annual. But you know, we're trying to like figure out the monetization game at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Tom, what we haven't heard from Brian W. or Kevin Brennfleck yet. You guys want to say hello? Tell us where you're from.
Hey,
What job board yet?
Yeah, this is Kevin Brennfleck. I run a few different boards. ChristianCareerCenter.com is our major site, but we also have ChurchJobsOnline.com and ChristianJobFair.com. So we charge, we actually have a free listing, but we ask for that just to be used by smaller churches or smaller organizations. And then we also ask for a link back if they're using that. So I think in a few cases that's been helpful. Then we charge $99 for a 30-day listing, $199 for a premium 90-day listing, and throw in some different benefits. Jobs also go into our newsletter that goes out to about 30,000 subscribers. And then we have 5-packs, 10-packs, unlimited, so some different packages as well. So we have not, we're lower than some of the other Christian niche sites, and some are just free. But those that charge, we've kept the free option. That seems to still be helpful, but the majority of people do choose a paid option with us. One of my questions that I'm wondering if anybody has experience with this is related to SEO and good rankings. You know, we have good rankings for Christian jobs, and people Google that, church jobs, some of those areas. But related to SEO, I'm wondering if anyone has done any scraping of jobs that would be appropriate for your site. And if so, if you've done that in a way where it's helped with your SEO.
Well, yeah, and more jobs you have, more traffic you get is sort of a general rule of thumb I go by, Kevin. So if you, Google's going to see more content on your site. It's more pages that Google can crawl. So theoretically, it's more traffic. How much traffic is debatable, but that's basically, it's a pretty true statement, I think. Anybody else agree or disagree with that?
No, I agree fully. So I did that for the first time just 1.5 weeks ago, and my job board just launched 3 months ago today. And until a few weeks ago, we still didn't really have any sort of significant organic traffic. But this really made a difference, and we just imported around 3,000 jobs from another site, and that was such a massive thing, and it wasn't even done well, I think, from our side. Like the formatting was not perfect at all that. So I'm looking now into solutions as to how we can do this like in a more proper way, but certainly something I would recommend based on the early results that we've seen.
And did you use an organization, an outside organization to do that, or did you do it in-house?
I found someone on Fiverr.com for $50 or so who
Okay.
after way too much talk back and forth was able to get it done to 80% satisfaction, I would say.
Okay,
Hey,
that's
Kevin,
great.
have you called Aspen Tech Labs? One of my advertisers, they do scraping for job boards.
What's the name of that one, Chris?
Aspen Tech Labs. And then the website itself is called Web Spider Mount. I'll put a link in the chat, webspidermount.com.
Perfect. I think I have talked to them at one point, and there's another organization that we've dealt with.
Yeah.
Matt, if you don't mind sharing, whoever you use it, appreciate that as well.
I'll find the Fiverr link to the person that I used and then post it in the chat.
Okay, appreciate that. And have you done that in a way where the jobs display and you have URLs that make sense for that job that are getting traffic?
Yes. So I think as I said, the only thing was that we couldn't really find a setup where the formatting was working perfectly. And I think for me, it was still like a test to do all of this. So I didn't bug him more to like really find a solution, and it would have probably cost me a few hundred more or something like that.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing now is that I'm figuring out a way with an actual API from another site here in Denmark, where I'm doing the scraping from, where I can do it in a little bit more of a proper way. The other thing here, as I say, was just a test, but I'll find the link for the guy, and you'll probably have to haggle a little bit as always on these sites.
Excellent. Appreciate it.
Chris, this is Kevin Mero, and Kevin as well. We've been using Aspen that Chris mentioned. I've got a long history with boards. I'm in a healthcare field, but we've used Aspen technologies really successfully. I'm just relaunching my site again, going in a different direction, but because they do our job wrapping, so we wrap sites like Veterans Affairs, Amazon, not Amazon. We did Amazon, but University of Louisville, Express Scripts, Cigna in the States. So we've been using Aspen's job wrapping for several years. And then we also backfill with their jobs. And we've had as many as 50,000 jobs on the site, and it runs fall. We use their technology for the website and job board too, but it's jobrx.com if you want to take a look at the formatting. But very good. We've had no trouble at all. They use a team out of Ukraine, but they're based out of Aspen, Colorado, with offices in Ukraine, now Poland because of Ukraine, and also in Ireland. But very good group to work with.
Appreciate that. How do you spell the site name?
Oh, my site, it's jobrx. So just
The chat there, Kevin.
Yeah,
Okay,
rx.com.
great.
Hey, Kevin,
Super.
Chris, and Mads, I'm a little, I'm just not very familiar with like the scraping part. And Mads, you said it brought in a ton of organic traffic for you. So how exactly does that work? Do you scrape the jobs off of some other site and then you plug them on your own? And like, where do people apply to? And ultimately, how do the original companies that wanted applicants, how do they get those applicants? Or how
Well,
does
scrape-
really good.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, really good question. So the way we did it was that we in the scrape, I'm not super technical, so I had the guy who did the scraping make sure that once you clicked apply from the, let's say, competing sites that we used, you would obviously go to the URL of the company who actually had the job post.
To redirect.
So exactly. So that was the link that we grabbed to send the applications from when people click on our site. And I don't consider it maybe necessarily like the smartest way that we did it. But again, it was a good and fast way to test it. And yeah, like the results that we saw in terms of Google overnight, in terms of impressions and traffic, was just like quite good. And I've been working with SEO for a long time. And I was very impressed that it was really that simple. So I went from having, let's say, 300 and something jobs to having 3,500 jobs. And I think we could easily get to 30,000 jobs, even in a small country like Denmark, where we will do this a little bit more properly. And my feeling right now is that this will be like a massive thing for us in terms of getting organic traffic.
Is
Brian,
it
whenever you scrape-
advisable?
Whenever you scrape, it's all about redirect. So that you have to redirect that traffic back to where the job lives.
okay?
And but you get the content, but the apply, you lose the seeker when they click apply.
Is it a revenue stream at all, or is it just strictly?
It can be if you partner with companies like Appcast or
Okay.
talent.com and get the backfill as an affiliate partner of them. I've got a whole ebook on there's 20 different affiliates partners you could join basically. So you
Okay.
can make money off those clicks. And I definitely encourage people to do that because that's if you're going to scrape, you might as well get paid for the clicks you generate because you're losing them anyway. You might as well get paid for that click, right?
Mhm.
Chris,
my
are
take.
you familiar with people who require that the individual register, so they do grab their contact information before being able to apply to those scrape jobs?
Yeah, I've done that with a job board client in the past where we basically, we put a little field or form on the bottom of the job listing where it said, you're about to get redirected, but please start your application by giving us your email address.
Okay.
And so the job board kept that email address and then redirected them at that point. That's how they got around it.
Do you have any data as to how many people you lose in that flow? Because I was wondering about this today. I really don't want to risk the few clickouts that we have at this point by getting them to sort of sign up for our site.
It's
Do you have
however
any
many
data on this?
however many apply clicks you generate. That's how many people leave your site. So you know that number. If you're tracking it, but that's whatever that number is the number. So like on Smart Job Board, it tracks apply clicks, and those are basically all redirects that leave the site at that point.
Yeah, it's super hard with a site that is like bouncing a lot in performance like week over week or so, because like you don't have a steady baseline to compare to.
And the
But
more,
it makes sense that would be
the
the
more those
obvious
jobs
way.
you have, the more your bounce rate goes up because those people leave the site faster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So it's a trade-off, right? But if you're going to do all that stuff, might as well get paid for it.
Yeah.
Is my thinking.
Yeah, that's how I've grown my board. I've got a database with 40 million jobs, live in over 16 different countries, and I beat the hell out of the Google API, as well as Bing as well, because they've opened up Index now. That's unlimited. I was doing Yandex, and then obviously Ukraine happened, so I pulled back on that one. But yeah, that's what I do. I'm
And there are whole
with,
job boards that live off just CPC. I mean, Stephen Rothberg,
Yeah.
collegerecruiter.com is famous for that. No
Yeah,
more paid
that's it.
posting. It's all just, he's an affiliate basically of all the different companies that provide backfill, and that's how he makes money. I think Don is the similar way as well. I think some of his sites are CPC.
Yeah,
based.
that's it. I'm going to be moving over to the paid side where people can post directly. But I'm going to wait until I hit about 3 million users per month.
It only makes sense
then-
if you have a
then-
ton of traffic with CPC.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we get a ton of traffic. I mean, I've got like a massive API quote from Google. So that's fine. And that's the bit that I think everyone here should really be taking advantage of, would be the Google Jobs API. And that's a little bit complicated to use, but certainly does work.
Yeah. Do you tap into the API itself? So it's all
Yeah,
real time
I've-
listings.
Yeah. So as soon as the feeds update from, say, Adzuna, it then goes straight into the feed, and then I limit per feed, so I don't burn through my quota, because I don't limit any number of jobs that come through on the feed. Like when I spoke to Adzuna initially, they were like, most people don't want us to stop at 100,000. I'm like, no, just give me everything. So that's why, like, for the US, I think we've got like 11 million jobs. And it's just more of a case of Google giving us more API to be able to push it all through to them when the feeds update.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. I got some questions here from a reader. He didn't show up though, but I'll answer him anyway. He asks, CP, this is for you. So what's the best piece of advice you can give to someone starting a niche job board today? Short answer is learn internet marketing. If you can't drive traffic, then you're not going to succeed. Next question. Larger job boards have lots of bells and whistles. How can a small niche job board compete with the Indeeds and ZipRecruiters? Or is it we just don't and hope people see the value in less is more and supporting the small guy? So yeah, I say, play up the underdog role. It's quality versus quantity when you're looking at niche job boards versus the big guys. And that's it's been true for many years, and I think it's never going to change overall. In your opinion, what are the most important social media platforms to use with your niche job board? I like to hear the group's thoughts on this too. Generally speaking, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn are the basic ones, but any of you guys have any do you use like TikTok at all, or Snap, or anything else to leverage your job board social media stuff? Anybody?
We've been I've seen a few job boards kind of link into the LinkedIn feed. That used to happen more. But I think they've kind of cut down on it, but I don't know if anyone's managed to do that. But that, to me, looks like as good as the Google for Jobs API, to be honest, because it's kind of goes back to the LinkedIn. And I think Adzuna had managed to do that at one point. I don't know if they still do, but yeah.
His other question is, this is a good question actually. So was there ever a time you wanted to call it quits with your job board? And what was the issue and how did you get back in the saddle? So I have an answer to this, and I want to hear the group's answers too, if they have any stories. But so yes, there was a time when I wanted to call it quits with a job board I had. This is recently too, so I'll tell you guys the story. So right before the pandemic in January of 2020, I launched a site called HR Lancers. And I wanted to create a community around freelance HR work, freelance recruiting work. To me, every industry is going to have a gig-based marketplace for employment. And I think recruiting and HR are no exception to that. I think it's happening. And that was the idea behind it. I think it was a good idea. And I launched it in January of 2020. I launched it on Smart Job Board, actually. And the first month was awesome. I mean, I had like 5,000 visitors in the first month. We had close to 1,000 signups, I think, as far as just like people putting their resume up there and stuff. creating profiles. I was getting tons of, congratulations. Hell, this is a great idea. Why didn't this exist already? Long story short, then the pandemic hit, and that basically halted the momentum the site had. And I ran it for 2 years until March of this year, when I was about to shut it down. Actually, I was like, "Look, this isn't really going anywhere. I'm not getting, any kind of I was looking for more project-based postings, things like that. Write your, host a project to write an employee handbook, things like that, right? Got some of that stuff, but it just wasn't enough to keep the site going. And at the time, the pandemic had caused such a hiring challenge that companies are just focused on full-time hiring pretty much overall, and they weren't really thinking about how to leverage freelance HR recruiters overall. So I almost shut it down. Then I had a little idea. So I said, okay, what if I could partner with somebody who's kind of well known in the HR space to work with me on it? And there's a woman called Suzanne Lucas. She's the evil HR lady. She has this massive following on social media, particularly on Facebook. She's a writer, basically. She writes for some magazines. But her group has like 20,000 people on it, and it's one of the most interesting Facebook groups you'll ever read. As far as just because it's all HR people just basically bitching about their jobs and their employees. So it's fascinating, and it's extremely loyal to her. Like, she has a huge following. So I approached her. I said, okay, Suzanne, let's team up. Let's make a job board based on your brand. And she loved the idea. So I basically took the smart job board platform. I rebranded it to evilhrjobs.com. I still own it. I leverage her brand. I pay her a monthly royalty for that, based on how we do in sales. But it's working to an extent. It's not a huge site. Someone just joined. It's working to an extent, meaning it's getting kind of drive-by postings, which I was looking for. And it's making some money. It's not making a ton of money. Yeah, I don't spend a lot of time on it because I'm so busy, but it's doing better than it was as HR Lancers. And I think over time it could grow into somewhat of a significant income for both of us. But that was the idea I had, and that was the pivot I did with it. Tatiana, hello.
Hello, how are you? How's it going?
Good, how's it going?
Thank you.
Where are you calling from, and what's your job board?
I'm from Canada.
Canada, okay. So anybody else have any stories around like if they ever quit a job board or changed their job board? Anybody?
Are you asking me?
Actually, no, I'm actually in the group. Actually, we're on a topic here. I'll get back to you in a second. But
Okay, take it.
Anybody else got any stories around that?
I do, Chris. When I started Trusted Herd, I left a well-known marketing agency here in Chicago. We had started my own, came up with the idea, put our first house fund, me and my wife, into starting Trusted Herd. And looking back on it, I wish I knew Chris, because I wish I probably would have built on a existing platform and not our own. But like for Trusted Herd, it's all about the community, right? I mean, we, with all of the workers, we also, about 2.5 years ago, I took over as super admin for a 220 plus Facebook group community that has about 800,000 users in all the cities across the US and Canada. So like brand ambassadors of Los Angeles, Austin, Atlanta, anywhere you could imagine. And the pandemic was tough, wasn't raking in revenue. I still never paid myself. I finally will after 6 years, like this upcoming month, which is so exciting. And it's the stories, right? Like it's the stories of workers emailing you, or someone who found a job on your job board, or a company that found a worker that's now their go-to in a certain place. And like to me, that keeps me going. Like I feel like we're doing something good here. And as long as the site keeps growing and getting healthy, like more of those stories keep happening. And so the pandemic was super hard for a lot of job boards. But for me, it was those stories in the dark days that like push me through and continue to. So, yeah.
Okay, Fadian or Fashion, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but you want to say hello and tell us where your job board is?
Yeah, hi. Fatima, it's okay, Fatima.
That's okay.
So I'm just running a job board called avellcommunity.com. It's a niche job board for experts working in the international field. And,
Expat job board, okay.
Yeah. And I'm doing connection between the organization that needs to hire the best candidates to fill their vacancies. This job board has around 8, 9, 10 years old. And we're just increasing our community. For example, we have a LinkedIn group page around 15,000 members. But the market is hard, you know, the competition is very hard. We should find a way to survive. And this is the reason I'm glad to participate in this meeting to share and to learn from other colleagues.
Is there a burning question on your mind that we can answer for you as far as a challenge you're having or something?
In our case, the biggest challenge is to populate our job board with a lot of opportunities, because we have kind of traffic, but we don't have a lot of customers to post and to buy, to purchase our services, posting a job, paid one. And but the other way, we need to populate this job board to give more opportunity to users and to offer more, you know. Just some thoughts on how to populate with specific job, specific vacancies that is in international development. Let's say.
Do you do any scraping or backfill of your job board with other?
The job board is built on the WordPress. Okay, it's a Jobify team, and we used to scrap some jobs from, you know, but they change now their structure, and it's harder for us to populate with the right jobs. Yeah, this is main challenge we have, how to populate. And in your opinion, in your experience, do you recommend any tool to populate the job that is built with WordPress?
You can put your link in the chat if you want. I'll take a quick look at it. And what WordPress theme are you using?
I'm using a Jobify theme.
Jobify, okay. Looks like we lost Don here. We'll ask Don some more questions.
Hello.
Hey, Brian.
I don't have a job board. I just had a question.
Yeah.
I'm calling from New York. Sorry, I introduced myself earlier.
That's okay.
I was wondering, like, for anyone in the chat, like when you guys first started, did you start with like a business plan, or you just kind of like jumped in?
I mean, business plan it's kind of it's pretty 90s thinking to me, but if you have an idea and you see a need for to fill a niche, I mean, that's basically what you want to look at, right? So when I look at a new job board, when I get a call from a new job board owner, the first thing I basically want to know is, okay, what niche are you going into? How well do you know that niche? Are you sure there's a need for a job board in that niche? Those kind of questions, right? That's what you
Okay.
should be asking yourself. And I say to them, you need to prove that there's a need that your job board idea should exist in that space, right? And so the basic way to do that is by trial and error, just launching something simple and quick, and getting it out there in the market and see if there's actually a need for this, right? See if it gains any traction, see if it collects an audience and builds that community around it. That's basically what you're looking at here. That's the challenge. So those are the questions I would ask myself, and kind of go from there.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you for that.
Yeah, sure. Also look at the competition too, right? Like check and see if any other job boards exist in this space. It's really hard today to find a industry that doesn't have a job board in it because it's such a mature industry.
Exactly.
But I've seen them, like Brian Fox is over there. I mean, that's a niche that there's very little competition if there is any, right, Brian? I mean, there's not much out there for it.
Yeah, they're just like companies that look for these workers don't like a general job board like a ZipRecruiter, because they don't want everybody, right? I mean, they want outgoing people and people who will be friendly and all of that. And I think for us having the reputation profiles, like we got full profiles, pictures and resume and their qualities, and they can capture endorsements from other workers and companies. Like it's a lot. I would not do Trusted Herd again if I was starting say over 6 years ago, knowing what I know today. But it's I think I go back to like the community, right? And your connections, and they will take you as far as your passion goes, right? At least in my case. But yeah.
Yeah, the other question to ask yourself, Brian, is just can you build a community around a like-minded topic? That's essentially what a job board is. And that's the way I think to think about it. It's not just job postings. It's everything. It's that plus content and resumes and information, resources around that stuff, and just building a community. I have a client called Venture Fizz, which is a tech-based job board community like a builtin.com, based around like cities, tech cities. And they've done a great job at just building community around topic tech jobs by essentially creating content, a lot of content around the companies in that space, the people in that space. And if you're willing to do that, then, you can make some headway there.
Chris, based on your email, I listened to the How I Built This of TaskRabbit. And I think, Brian,
oh yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
Yes, Brian, if you haven't listened to that yet, like that is a really good job marketplace story. It's great.
Yeah, I saw it advertised. I didn't listen to it yet.
Oh, it's awesome. It really is.
I'll check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, I love how they just, kind of built it locally and it kind of just grew from there. And that was pretty cool to see. Great story. I think ZipRecruiter's founder has been on a couple podcasts too. So search for him too. He's done some interesting discussions as well. Ironically, ZipRecruiter was not a job board in the beginning. They basically they started out as a kind of a website provider for staffing firms. That's how they started, what I remember. All right, it's 5:52. What are the questions you guys got as we wrap this up?
I do have a question, if you don't mind me jumping in. It's about automation. I just recently started using Zapier. I also tested out Make, or formerly Integromat, and I wondered if anybody else used any of these automation tools to automate not just the job ad purchase process, which is basically automated within the job board itself that I use, but the social media postings and the follow-up emails. Does anybody use any of those?
Yes, I do. I'll go first, I guess. So I use Zapier for some stuff, and I use Deliverate for the
Deliberate.
other. So
How do you spell
Deliverate,
deliberate?
I'll put it.
Oh, deliberate.
It's like DLVRIT something. I can never spell the URL. Here it is.
Okay,
I'll put it in the chat.
found
But-
it.
Yep. Okay. And for the others, there's the chat. So basically, with Deliverate, that's my social media posting tool essentially. So I own 30 different social media channels across Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn,
Hmm.
and I publish every blog post and almost every job through that tool to my channels. Or I even use it for. It's even great for like content curation. So, for example, I can go into Deliverate. I can do a search of feeds for any topic. Could be, about biking or hunting or whatever it is. And it'll come up with a bunch of like blog feeds it finds. And you can actually recirculate that into your social media channels to essentially populate your social media. Feels like a human would. Someone just joined. And it's a great tool for that. I've been using it for years. It's like $10 a month. If you add more social media channels, it gets more pricey. I think I pay about $60 for like 25 social media channels I have connected to it. And I've got another. I use Zapier for what do I use Zapier for? I have a community. It's not a job board community, but it's a Mighty Network site for my e-biking hobby, and I use Zapier to do all the republishing of content on there to the social media channels as well, because it's built
Nice.
into the platform of Mighty Networks. But there's Buffer app. But anybody else use any kind of automation for their social media stuff?
No,
Yeah.
I wish
It kind
I
of
did.
it frees up your time, right? It just helps populate your social media channels automatically. And then I just, I augment it with a human whenever I have time, right? That's basically how I use it. So
Awesome. Thank you.
On that question, Chris, does anybody use like they generate jobs on their site and then send it to a Twitter account, right? And hashtag it with.
that's what I do with Deliver. Yeah. So, and Deliver also will auto hashtag it, or you can actually do fixed hashtags. So if there are hashtags in your industry that are used often, that's great for the fixed hashtag feature, right? Hashtag event jobs, whatever it is, right? Stuff like that. That just makes your jobs more discoverable in the social platforms. That's the main reason I do it. For the search engine, stuff I get from Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. People are searching, for content. They'll see a job on there and they click it. So that's the basic reason I do it. Carla Hamlin, you sent me those questions, didn't you? Are you CP? Carla, talk to me. Carla, going once, going twice. Her mic's off. Well, anyway, I answered your questions, Carla, so they'll be in the replay. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, it's 5:56. I'm gonna go throw some burgers on the grill, I guess. And then let's see here. Anybody going to HR Tech in a few weeks out in Vegas? I'll be there. I'll be in Philadelphia the week after that for Recruit Philly. And I'm also going to Phoenix in October, early October. So, but I don't think any guys are out there too. So, Chris, what's the name of the company Deliver It? Yeah, it's in the chat there. Kevin, there's a link to it. Put it again. Oh, that was just to Kaj. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I got to do everyone in the meeting. Here's the link, Kevin. That's deliverit.com. Yeah, $10 a month for like 3 channels, 3 social media accounts, and then it goes up from there. You can add. It has tiers, so I'm paying like $60 a month, I think, right now, because I have so many social media channels across my websites and a few clients too. So it's a really great tool. Yeah, definitely. If frees up your time. It populates your social media channels, and it gets you more clicks. Overall, it's a, you know, it's not a lot of clicks, but it just, again, it helps. It's you know, if you have 1,000 jobs you're pushing out there on social media every month, you know, you might get 500 clicks on that. I don't know, just guessing here, but something like that. So how's it compared to Buffer or Hootsuite? It's basically the same thing. Buffer does the same thing. I've never used Hootsuite, so, but they're all basically the same. They just do things a little bit differently. I find Deliver It to be pretty easy and intuitive overall. So, and I think there's a free version too if you do like 2 social media channels. At least there used to be anyway. So try it out. And yeah, one other tip on Twitter too, if you have a lot of jobs, create a separate Twitter only job account. Just push every job you have into that account, hashtag it, and just automate it. It'll grow automatically just by having content on it. So.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, it's 6 o'clock, and thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it. I think only about half the people showed up who signed up. So I think we had a good discussion and hope you guys learned something. So
Yeah, thanks for organizing it, Chris. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
That was really nice.
meet
Thanks a lot.
everybody.
Thank
try to
you.
do these quarterly.
Thank
So
you. Thank you, Chris.
do
Thank
one
you, Chris.
later in the fall, probably November, December. And then again in March, we'll have Job Board Con again. So stay tuned for that. And I'll put this on replay on these Job Board Secrets YouTube channel, hopefully next day or two. So keep an eye out for that. All right, everybody. Well, again, have a great night, and thanks for joining Job Board Secrets Happy Hour. Catch you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.